Morning, y'all. Let's go for a Starbucks run while we get into today's video. Let's start the morning off strong. For some reason, I'm feeling like normally I'm a very routine person. So normally I like to make my breakfast at home. But there are some days where I just felt like, you know what? I need something different today. So I want to go get a medicine ball and I want to go get a breakfast sandwich from Starbucks to kind of start the day. And then we'll get into obviously some video work and then maybe go to the gym. I have a birthday event tonight for a friend of mine. So I feel like I am getting back some sense of normalcy. And I'll also do some packing today later on for Thailand because I want to just kind of get that out of the way. So yeah, the grief journey is still going and we are actually pressing through. I have been feeling probably the best that I have in a very long time since any of this happened this week. And I think it's in part to, chronicling this journey, talking about it, getting it out of my system, I think has been helpful. Seeing your comments has been super helpful. I think also journaling has been helpful. And this is kind of also a way to journal. If you are wondering about what types of ways you can take to kind of get through the grief process, this may not be for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody wants to put their lives out there like that. But for me, I think that it is super important that people see other people going through the things that they may be experiencing so that they know that, okay, number one, you're not alone. Number two, this is how someone else is managing. Number three, it kind of creates a sense of community. So here we are. Let's run to Starbucks.
Good morning. What can I get started for you?
Hey, good morning. Can I get a venti medicine ball?
Okay.
With no peppermint. All right, y'all. So we are back at home and it's time to eat. All right. So, and then we're going to get into our topic of the day before we get into the other video work that I have to do. The topic of today is going to be not losing focus when you are going through grief. That can be one of the hardest things to do because it totally shifts everything in your life in so many different ways that it's very, very easy to lose focus. So we're going to talk about that today, but let's take a look at what I got. All right, y'all. So let's talk about what I got. I got the double smoked bacon, cheddar, and egg sandwich, the baked apple croissant, because I felt like treat yourself today, and my venti medicine ball. And of course, I've got my vitamins here that I'll take after that. And then, of course, I have my Alice mushroom chocolates. These are actually really, really good. And it says they are for focus and energy. Not sponsored at all, but this is just my real morning routine. So, well, it's a deviation because I felt like I wanted to do something a little different this morning. So here we have it, breakfast of champions. Let's go. Okay, so now that I've gotten my work out of the way for the day, I can actually get down to running a couple of errands. But before I do that, I want to talk about focus because, one of the things that becomes really, really tricky during this whole grief process is your ability to focus on tasks that you need to accomplish. Especially, this is really true for people who, if you work for yourself, it becomes super duper hard, especially when, for me, it's a big thing to remain in a very positive mental space because my work is public facing, right? So if I am on YouTube, talking about reality TV news, or if I get called to go to Fox 5 DC to talk about, whatever's happening in pop culture, then I have got to be on. And being on a lot of the time is very, very daunting when you are already dealing with grief, because how do you give your energy when you don't really feel like you have energy to give? And I know that can be even true for if you are working a 9 to 5, because you still now gotta process your grief while you are also trying to process some work, which you probably at that point in time could give two licks about, right? So, I mean, and that's not to say you don't love your job, but it's just the reality of dealing with grief. And so, how do you not lose focus during these times? And I'm going to give you a prime example of something that has occurred for me. And I'm just going to be very transparent. You know, in what I do with talking about reality, two examples. What I do with talking about reality TV is like, it could have felt like a burden. But what I started doing was I started going live more so that I could actually engage with the people that I'm talking to, like my community. I felt like that has been very, very helpful to me because I feel like I'm able to get that interaction, and it takes me out of the grief zone. It puts me firmly in the moment. I can just be in the moment of whatever it is that I'm doing. And I think that is so key, is learning to exist in the moment, and you have to give yourself something to focus on, which means you have to give yourself to the task, and you almost have to say to yourself, I know this is going to sound very strange, and I know this is going to sound almost impossible, but you're gonna almost have to compartmentalize your time for grief. And I know that there are going to be varying opinions about that, but that is something that I have found helpful to me. Like, I will give myself a mental space to look at maybe what's happening in the news. It is usually at the space where I'm at my most mental, like I'm mentally like strong, and like I'm hyped about the day. That way it doesn't impact me so much. It doesn't make me so angry. And the same can be said with grief. You know, I try to I don't want to say minimize, but I try to compartmentalize what I know to be grief that feels like, you know, it's not going anywhere, but I've got to focus on something else, and I've got to give my all to that thing. And I think that's the way that starting to think that way has really been helpful for me with regards to being able to focus on tasks. I have a trip to Thailand coming up, which I will walk with you guys through that whole trip because we will chronicle it. Again, my goal is to, for the next 30 days, give you what I'm going through in my process so that you can hopefully relate. I know that, you know, a trip to Thailand is not something that everybody is doing while they're grieving, but you may have to do something for work that you may not be as excited about, right? It's hard to be excited about it because, you know, I just think about like, you know, I've been spending the past couple of weekends with my mom, like not the past couple, but the past, like since this happened, I've been spending my weekends with my mom. So I'm kind of like, I feel guilty. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel guilty. Just it's a self-imposed guilt because my mom is not asking me to be there. My mom is very much like, live your life. You know, I got this. But I'm also kind of like, I don't want to make the same mistakes that I felt like I made with my dad. And I felt like I did not spend enough time with him. And granted, you know, we grow up and we're supposed to leave the home. We're supposed to go travel and move different places and do different things. But when you think about somebody that you have lost in this way, you're like, I wish I had done more, right? And so there is that. There's that that's constantly lingering in the periphery of my thoughts. Like, you know, I want to make sure that I have, you know, ample time with my mom. So there is that little bit of like, you know, I got to go on this trip and I'm going to be gone for, you know, X amount of time. And it's like, you know, and it's me. It's mostly a me thing. You know what I'm saying? She's there. She's got the dog. We've got a great neighborhood community, a family support system that, you know, she has like at her beck and call, right? So it's not like, you know, and a dog that keeps her company. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not like, I don't know. I just there is that just feeling of like, oh, I'm missing time with her, you know? So, and I know it's gonna be it's not even a practical thought to be there at all times. And that's not the way life works, unfortunately. But these are feelings that I'm dealing with. So I now have to turn my focus to this trip to Thailand, and I have to be on top of it because I am hosting a trip. There are at least 13 to 14 other people who are depending on me to be a great host. That means that I have to be aware of everything that's happening pre-trip. Like there is obviously packing, there is coordinating, making sure everybody has gotten their transfer information correctly. There is managing aspects of the trip, like there's a flight from Bangkok to Phuket, and there are travel restrictions I don't want to say restrictions, but there are just like things that you need to know about traveling within Thailand itself, right? Just thinking about the different baggage restrictions, that sort of thing. So I've got to now strategize about how to pack to accommodate those restrictions, because I've got to try to fit almost 2 weeks of wardrobe I've got to condense that into 44 pounds, because that's the restriction for flying from Bangkok to Phuket. So those types of things, I'm like, bro, like this is a lot. Like this is a lot to think about. Hosting a trip like this is like project management. That's what I would equate it to. For those who work, in traditional, even non-traditional, because you can be a project manager and be a consultant. So, but yeah, just to kind of give you an idea of just sort of where I am right now. So I need to go and drop some clothes off at the cleaners, and just get some things done so that I can pack. And I have a friend's birthday event tonight. So focus. This is one of the ways, I think the best way to start to begin to also heal on this journey is to turn your focus to some things that need your focus. Just even cleaning, even just organizing your life, finding ways to hone in on something so that you don't become consumed by despair. And these are healthy things. They may feel like you may almost, and I had this feeling for a little while too, like, oh, how dare I have fun right now? Like I was really having those thoughts, like, how dare you think about something fun? You have just, someone has just transitioned. Like there is what feels like a hole in your life in the physical form, right? It actually prevented me from posting on Instagram for a while too, because I was like, I am going through all of this stuff. Like, what do I even look like posting on Instagram after my dad has passed? Like, that looks crazy. Like, these are made up things in your mind, because no one can tell you how to manage your grief. No one can judge you for how you choose to express yourself when you're going through this process. And I don't think you should allow anybody to, not even yourself. And if it makes you feel good in that moment to do something that feels good, then you deserve every moment and ounce of feeling good that you can possibly stand. Because feeling good about yourself or doing something that makes you feel good is the way that you make it through this. That is how you get to a new space. Now, I'm not saying that I'm at that space yet. I am simply telling you what I'm discovering along the way. Doing things that make you feel good is going to be pivotal in you ultimately feeling better about life and about accepting that this person is no longer physically here, but that doesn't mean that they're not spiritually or somehow with you because of who they were to you and who they are to you and who they continue to be to you. For instance, although my father has transitioned, my father is still my father. That didn't change. And so while I might have been able to physically say to my dad, like, oh, Dad, what should I do about this? Now I just have to have faith that he is guiding me as I'm doing this or this or this that maybe I hadn't had to do before, right? So it just requires a different level of thinking to manage your way through it. And I just thought it was super important to talk about focus today, because I can't be successful if I can't focus. I can't be successful. I cannot. We have to work. We have to make ends meet. We have to keep businesses afloat. We have to clock in. And that's whether you work for someone else or not, you still need to clock in. And though some people may have found forms of passive income, I mean, for a lot of us, there are still things that we have to do. And it just is what it is. And you have to recognize that. And I think that the better you get with recognizing that you still need to get these things done, the sooner you will start to find yourself feeling a new normal. And that new normal doesn't have to be bad. It just is a new space where you know more than you did before. And sometimes you think to yourself, well, I don't want to know this. I don't want to know a life without this person. And to that, I say, I don't think any of us do. I really don't think anybody does. But I can actually stand here today and tell you that I'm a better man today than I was before my dad passed. Don't ask me why. Maybe there's a part of me that feels like a part of my dad's spirit has jumped into my body. There's a part of me that just kind of feels like I have become closer to my family, and members of my family, because I've recognized that they too have gone through their own situations and circumstances where they've lost someone or their dad as well. I have to think about my cousins who have either lost a mom or a dad, and now all of us are experiencing life together, and we're leaning on each other in a different way. And I just feel like I wouldn't change that for anything, because I'm so glad that our moms, our dads, they brought us together. So I have to look at it that way in order for me to feel like in order for me to function. That's just it. And I love my family. So, I think you just have to get to that space of recognizing and then finding that connection with your family if you don't have it. I have some friends that, haven't spoken to their parents, or, they have complicated histories with their family. And as much as I want to say, fix it before it's too late, I have to allow them to go through their own process. But the message that I want to leave you today is to focus on the thing, find ways to focus on activities and something to give your all to, because you have to learn how to compartmentalize the grief in order for you to function. And the best way to do that is to find something to focus on. And if you can find something that feels good to focus on, that's going to be even better. So the journey continues. If you are interested at all in this process, or if you've just been affected by grief or the loss of a parent or a loved one, then this is a safe space for you. And of course, we'll still talk about our travels. I'll still talk about, the YouTube process for those of you guys who are interested in starting a YouTube channel. I firmly believe that everybody should have a YouTube channel. It's a great outlet. It can be a source for just getting your feelings out. There are plenty of smaller creators who are really growing their followings because they're just being transparent about their lives. And again, you don't have to give every bit of your life away. I mean, I found someone, a close friend of mine sent me a YouTube channel, and she was talking about, you know, small YouTube channels YouTube is giving small YouTube channels, you know, a boost because people are just turning on their cameras and they're talking about, you know, their work for DoorDash, or, you know, they're driving Uber or they're driving Lyft, and they're giving their experience. And I think that that is what's so amazing about this platform, is because it allows us to build communities in ways that we never would have thought. And we can reach people who are feeling or experiencing the same things we are. And of course, there's absolutely a monetization process that can come with that, but that's a benefit. I mean, it's the connection that I think really is the big thing. That's just what I think. But, you know, so if you are someone who is interested in learning about, you know, how to use YouTube for, you know, just building a community or finding a community, then I definitely think you should turn on your camera today and just upload. Just upload. But that's all I got for you guys today. I need to go run my errands and get on the road to getting ready for this event tonight. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And of course, Thailand is coming up, so we're going to take you on that journey, and you guys will be right there to experience it all with me, because for the next 30 days, we are giving it to you. So with that being said, I'll catch you in the next video.